Hey, how are you? Hey, Colton. Welcome, welcome. Hey, how are you? Thank you. How are you guys doing tonight? Just wanted to get on here for a little bit. Hey, how are you? Hit the like button as you guys come in. And don't forget to subscribe. I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about manifestation. I was talking to my son just a little bit ago, and it's like most of us don't realize that you can literally manifest anything, anything. And um, I didn't really realize it myself um, until a few years back. But literally anything you want in life, you can get it. Um, and a lot of times we think that it requires hard work or, you got to hustle. And that's not it. That's not it. You literally can manifest anything you want. Um, anything. Yes. Um, do you have to work toward it or take some action? Yes. Yes, you do. But no, you can't manifest me. No, you cannot. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe you can. I don't know, but I do know that virtually anything. Well, it is because, well, I said I don't know. Um, and the thing about it is that you have to, first of all, you have to have it already made up in your mind that maybe if you already make up in your mind that I'm already yours, then maybe you can. I don't know. I don't know. Really? Not Soldier Boy, tell him. No. But no, seriously, you literally can manifest anything. Um, I'm at a point in my life where I'm living the easiest and the best that I ever lived. And I've lived where I had to hustle and I grind it, grind it. Is that a word? And, but I was stagnant. Now, when you don't force it, things literally just come to me. And I'm seeing it, and it's so crazy because my kids kind of actually taught it to me. Um, that I see how they glide through life, right? And like my son, for instance, he's a barber. He literally loves what he does. He goes to the shop, his barber shop, almost every day, sometimes every day. And yeah, no, listen, I was there. I was there. J11, literally tired of working. Um, no, Big Sean definitely believe in God. We believe in God over here. Um, but I believe that when God sees you trying, everything else will work. You don't have to force it, is what I'm saying. You don't have to, every day. I somebody told me the other week, maybe a couple weeks ago, that they worked 100 hours that week. Bro, I'm like, I didn't even know it was 100 hours in a week, and still be broke. No, Maxwell, God has everything to do with it. Sorry, we believe in God over here. Um, and like I said, Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely have trolls, but it's okay. It's okay. We appreciate them too, because they might learn something over here. Um, but when you start talking about manifestation, and when you start talking about things like that, people we've been conditioned that you don't talk about manifesting. That's evil, or that's, you know what I'm saying? When simply it's just making up your mind that what you want is already yours. What you want is already yours, essentially. Okay, Big Sean, I see you later. Subscribe so you can know when I go live again. Um and so again, like I was saying, it's essentially just making up in your mind that what you want is already yours. But Maxwell, if you believe in God, but you don't believe God is in control, then what will we need him for? Hmm? If we can if we can dictate every aspect of our lives ourselves, then what will we need God for? God definitely gives us free will. Exactly. And that's what I told somebody the other day. God lets us do what we want to do so that he can see what we'd rather do. And I feel like I feel like no, God is our perfect example of how we should live. I agree with that. Um, and I agree that we have free will. When I talk about manifesting the things that we want, I mean simply that we have the ability to bring things into fruition with God's help. And um, I feel like a lot of people are in such of a lack mindset that it's almost like whatever they want, it's like either they have to hustle hard for it or they just can't get it. That couldn't be further from the truth. Maxwell, what part don't you understand? Now, J11, I'll be honest with you. Um, the whole burn in hell um, situation, I don't believe. I mean, because think about it. Let's think about this for a second. If we were to catch fire here, our skin and our flesh would burn. Spirits never die. So if your spirit burned in, I guess, what, the lake of fire, would you feel that? Enlighten me. What part of the Bible should I read? And also, I don't think that when people say they fear God, um, matter of fact, I don't even think God wants us to fear him. I'll just say that. Christ comes with eyes like fire, eyes eyes like fire? I thought there was a lake of fire. Help me out here. But your flesh is what feels feeling. So once your flesh, no, I do know some parts of the Bible, but I also know that a lot of the Bible has been tainted. I know that everything has been rewritten so however many times. Um, we shouldn't fear God. What would be the reason to fear God? Exactly. Why are we scared? If you can think, we call God our Father. If you know your father, if you know, I don't know everybody's situation, but you wouldn't be scared of your dad. Yeah, yeah, J11. I don't. I'm. Yeah. Okay, but even with that being said, a lot of the Bible is just not true. Um, I will say that. I will say, and in fact, let's just um think about this here. Whenever you do something wrong, right? It can be going to the store and steal a piece of candy. That feeling inside that you know you did something wrong, that's God. You don't have to read a book to tell you what's wrong and what's right. You don't. No. I talk to God every day. And you're referring to a book, but like I said, some people call it a conscience, some people call it, whatever the case may be, but you know right from wrong. Those what do you call those commandments are common sense. Are common sense. Every time you do something wrong, you can feel that. When you know you've done something right, you can feel that. You don't need a book to tell you right from wrong. I'm sorry, you don't. And the Bible didn't always exist, so what were people doing before that? J11. What were people doing before it was written? How were they living then? And what was happening to them while they were following Jewish law? Okay, so with the Old Testament, where was God then? Are you saying that because the Bible hadn't been written, he didn't exist, or what are we saying here? Right, they were burning sacrifices for their sins. Okay, so if they were burning people at that time for their sins, are we saying that there were some perfect people? Because I thought the Bible also said that there was no one perfect. So who was getting burned and who was not? Okay, did that TF stand for the freak? Because I don't think God would want us cussing on, because okay, never mind. But what were the sacrifices? They were burning animals. Do you eat meat, or are you vegan? I'm definitely not Maxwell. I feel you. I'm not casting stones either, but it's so crazy of how many people that I know personally that know the Bible frontward and backward. I mean, can recite any scripture. And if you've seen them in the real world, it'll be almost as if they knew nothing of the Bible. No, J11, explain to me then. I asked you, do you eat meat? Because you said they were burning animals. I understand biblical. I understand that you're getting all of your information from the Bible. I didn't ask you that though. And then so who wrote the New Testament? Right, I understand that. It's telling you what, okay, so who wrote the New Testament? And why was that written? Who gave, and whoever wrote it, who gave them permission to do that? There definitely is more to God than the Bible. Because like I said, everything everything in regards to God was already put into you. Everything. So J11, this may not be the channel for you because again, over here we don't have to call it's like this. Some people call their father, dad, whatever the case may be. It's still going to be their father. Whether they don't even, you don't even have to look at it on a birth certificate to see who your dad is. Just like you don't have to read in a book to know who God is. Who's slandering God? I said you don't have to read a book to know who God is. God is within you, sir. God is within you. Let's say you can't read Braille and you're blind. So you can't read the Bible. Let's say you don't know how to read, so that means you can't know God. I'm not pretending to be anything. But I do know God. I talk to God every day. I agree, Maxwell. I totally agree. Because you're reciting the Bible, but you're not. How do you live? How do you live personally? And that's what people tend to do. You know, they put names on this religion, that religion, and they're holier than thou. Where in my experience, I've met more people that were more aligned with God that didn't know the Bible than those that did. Okay, God is more than a Google search, J11. You keep saying Google it and look this up and look that up. God is way more than a Google search. Sorry. Are you upset, J11? Are you upset because all you have to do is just, remove yourself? It's okay. I didn't come here to upset anyone. And I apologize if you've been offended. But I'm actually living what I'm saying. And um I've been blessed in so many ways that there's no way in the world, there's no way possible that I'm not fully aligned with God and that I don't know God. There's no way. I didn't have to create anything. Because like I said, God, I'm I'm only one person. God is not just within me, he's within you too. You don't have to tell me what's in the Bible because, again, I don't have to read a certain scripture or read a certain book to know who God is. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. Um, I do agree that maybe the Bible is a good guidebook for people who are struggling or people who have trouble receiving God or finding God, but we don't have those problems over here. Yeah, J11, it's almost as if you're the one being judgmental. And doesn't God say only he can judge? Because again, J11, these are, again, when you hear the word conscience, that is God. That's something you feel, not something you read. Where's the false prophet? Hmm? I didn't get on here to preach to anyone. So I don't know if you caught me at the beginning, but I said you can manifest anything, and that's what the whole basis of this conversation. That's how the basis of this conversation started. And I wholeheartedly believe that because, like I said, I live it. God has put me in a situation where my life is very peaceful. Um, there's no lack. There's no struggle. Even with everything that's going on in the world, there's no lack. And this is not to brag or this is not to boast or anything like that. Um, what I'm simply explaining is that it's not, it could be any of us. Yeah, Maxwell, I'm totally lost, but it's okay. It's okay because maybe he might leave here and understand something. I'll see you, J11. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Yeah, never said I was trying to be a prophet. Never try. I'm in no place to be. Um, I think especially our culture is just so used. Thank you. Our culture is just so used to the fact that um, we have to struggle. Life has to be hard. And I mean, I'm saying that because I used to be like that too. Or the only way to go, only way, but no, that's not it. Life is not supposed to be hard. Life is not supposed to be a struggle. And God has created opportunities for us to not live that way. But first, it starts in our mind. First, it starts in our mind. You literally have to have faith that everything is going to work out. And again, you're talking to somebody who literally I used to worry. When I tell you I worried about everything, it was almost as if I used to have panic attacks. And I was bringing them on myself. Um I thought something was wrong with me. And the thing about God is God just literally just wants you to trust. Yeah. He Yeah, he's definitely interested in people like him. I'm in Charlotte. I know people in my family like that. Um Oh, he's still here. No, life is not a struggle. Oh, you're still here. I appreciate you. Um, Life is not a struggle, and the only way I'm able to know this is because I lived the other way, and now I live the way that I do now, and it's so peaceful and it's so calm and it's so quiet. But I had to allow my life to get quiet in order to hear God, and to hear Him let me know that everything is okay, everything will be fine, and then to actually trust. Then I knew for sure. So you can J11, if you're still here, I see you are. Um, you can quote every scripture in the Bible, but you're talking to somebody who's living it, literally living it. What you're saying can't trump what I hear from God on a daily basis. There's no way that you can um, confuse me to think that I don't have. I'm literally living it. Um, and another reason why I like to get on here is because I see a lot going on. I don't watch the news, so I don't know a whole lot. I get my information from family members or, social media, whatever like that. So I know there's a lot going on in the world, and people are scared and people are worried. Um, I have family members that work for the government, who, may currently be not getting paid and things like that. But at the end of the day, everything will be absolutely fine. I do have children. And honestly speaking, my children are partly the reason, um, of why, um, I feel the way that I feel, because I see them living it as well. I was married to their father. Yeah, I'm committing adultery. Okay. Yeah, yeah, Maxwell, you're right. And I get what you're saying. Um, but I never said why I got a divorce. So, yeah. And okay, I don't know what your two reasons are, J11, or what you're insinuating, but what if I told you that when I made the decision to do what I did, me and my children's entire life changed for the better? I mean, every aspect of it. So again, you may be able to confuse some people, but you can't confuse the people over here. Might want to try it somewhere else. Wait, y'all, if okay, so you said we hate the Bible. So is that projection, or is that what do you call that? Enlighten me. Cuz I don't remember anybody stating that they hated the Bible. But you're the one on here cursing. Is that's not, really godlike, I don't think. You can let me know about that too. But that's neither here nor there, because again, um But again, I feel like we're conditioned to believe that life has to be a struggle and life has to be hard. No, no, I thought that too. Um, I had a lot of opportunities in life to remove negative energy from my life, and I chose not to. And when I didn't listen, that's when life was hard for me. Yeah, J11, you're going through something, and I don't know what it is. Um, I'll say a prayer for you and hope that things change for you. But clearly something's wrong, and I'm sorry for that. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Um, when I really started trusting God, that's when everything changed for me. And I feel like it's almost like, and when we say faith, people, because I'm the type of person that I like to, if I give an example, if I say something or advise something, I like to give an example of it. The faith that I'm talking about is literally like when you get up in the morning and you're getting ready to head out and you walk out your door and you take that first step out your door. You don't even think about it because you already know the ground is going to catch your feet. That type of faith. The type of faith that when you literally when you got the notification on your phone that your check just hit your account, so you go and swipe your card at the store because you know it's going to work. That type of faith. And when you trust God in that way, I'm telling you, everything will work out. And I'm not just talking about tangible things, money, but I am talking about it too. But I'm talking about, so for instance, and again, it's going to require you to do something, but once your mind is already made up, you're telling God that I trust that you will lead me in the right direction. I trust that, you know, everything will work out in my favor. So like a couple of years ago, I had oddly enough, I had like two I had like two lumps on my breast. And I know that I was like, am I tripping or what? So I live in Charlotte, and I my grandfather passed away, so I went to Ohio for his funeral. And this is around the time when I went to the doctor and I felt it. So um I let my mother feel it because I just wanted to make sure. I kind of in a little bit wanted somebody to tell me, no, you're tripping. You know you don't feel that, but she felt it. And then I had my ex, I had him feel it. So they both say, okay, you know, and my mother is like so different from me. She doesn't worry about anything. It's almost like she was born just with natural faith. So she was just like, oh no, it's not a problem. She's like, it's more than likely nothing. We're just gonna she was like, just when you get home, schedule a mammogram and you'll be fine. And she's like, it's better to know what it is than to not. So I'm feeling it, I felt it or whatever. And I came home, I scheduled a doctor's appointment. It was about a month out. So when I got the appointment and I realized it was a month out, I started doing my research. So I started researching like every holistic doctor I can find, uh, more, more, more of Dr. Sebi's teachings, of what are curable, foods and herbs and things that we can take and eat. So I just started literally, I was like, I ain't going out with no lumps on my, I'm like, look, I'm about to eat I was eating dandelion root, like just different things that I had never even heard of. I was just going to the grocery store, like to, natural whole food stores, and just buying the stuff. And I was eating it. And so that's why I say it requires work. You can't just be like, oh, well, I got 2 lumps on my breast, I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to do anything. God, just no, you have to do something. You have to do your part. So I'm researching, and you know, what works and what, you know, I mean, I'm just literally, I stopped eating meat because I found out that you know, meat causes mucus to cause cancer cells and things like that. So I stopped eating meat, and I literally, for this whole month that I was waiting on my doctor's appointment. So long story short, I guess it's kind of long winded. You sure can, Maxwell. By the time I ended up going to the doctor, um, they were completely gone. They were even surprised because I'm 39. At the time I was 30. At the time I was 36. No, I was 37. At the time I was 37. So they were even kind of you know, kind of surprised that I was even in there getting mammograms. I guess I didn't ever have one before, but you only get them when you're 40 and up. But I guess because I had that, you know, felt that, then that's what was ordered. So by the time I got, after that month of doing what I did, they were gone, completely gone. Because I had already made up in my mind that I was not going to have any type of cancer cells. I was not going to have anything. And then God saw me doing the work. So when God sees you doing the work, he'll do the rest. It's simple. You don't have to, I didn't have to pick up the Bible to see what God said. No, because I already know God. Again, sometimes I feel like the Bible is good for people who might be struggling. Yes, Maxwell, share your story. This is good. Because I think that by us sharing our stories, I think that it's easier for people to relate. Yes. It's easier for people to, you know, relate and use us as examples of how things can be. Because, you know, and I know a lot of people go through a lot of things, but I like to be there to show people a different way. Because some people have no examples, and then you have people that are like, oh, if you don't read the Bible, if you don't, you're going to go to, like, no, God doesn't want you to live in fear. Like, who made that up? Whoever made that up? Oh. He was exactly right. He was exactly right. You got to meet God halfway. People think you can just, and when things don't happen, they're saying, God, why me? But I know so many people who just don't want to do anything, but expect everything. That was it. That was exactly it. God just wants us to see. Man, I wish you could tell people that I know. God will guide you. You have to, you are absolutely right. You got to move your feet. Period. You have to. You have to. You cannot stay stagnant and expect God to do the whole thing for you. No, that we weren't put here for that. We weren't put here for that. And when I say, just to be clear, when I say life isn't supposed to be hard, I don't mean that life is not going to life. That was a situation. Was I a little bit nervous about it? Yes. Were you nervous when you didn't pay? Yes. Yes, but as you can see, it all worked out. So I'm not saying that to say life is going to be perfect. Life won't happen. J11, you still here? I'm saying that to say, I'm saying that to say that when God sees you trying, he'll do the rest. That is what I am saying. We're in the age of information now where a lot of things you can research, a lot of things you can learn on your own. People try to come and be like, oh well, what I am grateful though for is that a lot of people are starting to wake up. A lot of people are starting to wake up, and we still are going to have those stragglers as wanting to. And I'm not, and let's be clear, we love, yes, everything has an opposite. Like you said, there's light and there's darkness. We get to pick a side. That's where we say free will. What was I getting ready to say? Just lost my train of thought. But I'm grateful for the free will. And like I said, life has not always been perfect. I just noticed that when I started making certain changes and started removing certain people and doing different things, life got so much easier. Even with not the situation. This was last year. Out of nowhere, the house that I was renting, they were just like, it was a private owner, and they were just like, we're gonna sell the house. We're just gonna sell the house. They did, try to provide me the opportunity to purchase it, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want the house. It's a beautiful home. It's 5 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, but I just didn't want to purchase it. Homes are expensive now, and it just really wasn't worth it to me for that. Especially we had lived there for 5 years, and it needed work and things like that. So, maybe about a month before, I'm looking for a house. Normally I would have gotten nervous because it was getting down to the wire, and I knew I had to be out. And so they gave me an additional 4 months to look for somewhere, and they were just like, okay, well, we'll give you an additional. So I signed a little short lease or whatever like that. And then after that, I mean, literally down to the wire, I'm applying for this, and I was getting denied. Now, mind you, I was applying for homes that I thought was in my budget, because where we were moving from was a blessing. The whole time that we lived there, they never moved up on the rent. It was $1,500 for the entire time. Even after COVID, when everything was ballooning, they could have easily gotten $2,500 for the house a month, and they chose to. So I couldn't even complain. The house was a blessing anyway. But neither here nor there, we got to move. When I tell you I was denied for like 4 homes, and here in Charlotte, they don't play about those those application fees. And because my son, he's an adult now, I'm having to pay for him and so, we're down to like maybe like 2 weeks left. I kind of let my children know, like, hey, I'm applying, but we're not getting them. So I kind of positioned to them, like, if we have to stay at an Airbnb for a while until we find somewhere permanent, we're going to have to do that, because we have to be out of here. So we bought boxes, started packing up all of our stuff, because we got to get out of here either way, maybe have to put our stuff in storage. literally 4 days. I had one more house that I was going to apply for, that I applied for. And it was what I thought was out of my range. It was bigger than any house that I had applied for. And it was something that I didn't even consider. But I said, Lord, I said, if we're supposed to stay, I talked to God. I said, if we're supposed to stay in an Airbnb, I know that's not stable. I've always made sure that my children remain stable. I didn't bounce around. I relocated, but especially my youngest son, we never really moved a lot. But I said, if this is what we got to do, this is what we got to do. I'm trusting you. So 4 days before it was time for me to move, my mother was like, we got to figure something out. She was getting nervous because she doesn't live here in the same city with me. So she's all like worried about it. I said, Mommy, we're not going to worry this time. We're just going to let God take the wheel, and we're just going to trust. 4 days before it was time for me to move, we got approved for this house here. It's the biggest and best house I've ever lived in. To this day, I don't even know how I got approved for it. But I know that God was letting me know that I wasn't dreaming big enough. I wasn't thinking big enough. There's greater. You just have to believe you deserve it. And I don't like those stories aren't the best stories to me, because, people will correlate it. Oh, she just worried about money, or she just worried. No. But when I say I did this without even a job, so like I haven't clocked into a job since July 6th of 2023. I've been doing gig work. And the reason why I did that was because I make more. And, well, you know what, Maxwell? You're very welcome. When I tell you, you have to trust God, it's actually vital. And I know you know that. I know you know that. We like you said, we have the trolls on here that's like, oh, Bible this. No, when you know what I mean. And sometimes we do need that reminder. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I just literally just told my son, I said, sometimes when I feel myself getting anxious, I have to literally stop myself and say, wait a minute, reset. God got it. Like, you have to force yourself to do that. J11. I have 3 LLCs. Yes, Maxwell. The time is now. If you can get yourself into a quiet situation, maybe a room, quiet, and just because again, I don't like to just say like broad statements and then just leave it open-ended like that. I mean, like, literally let God speak to you. And one day my daughter, she's away at college, but she said, Mommy, how do you know that she said, how do you know that it's not you talking to yourself? For me, okay, Maxwell. Yes, but like I said, and I'll be live again. I think I'm gonna go live again tomorrow. So make sure you turn your notifications on, so that you can catch me next time. You have a good evening. And subscribe too. I sure will. So she said, how do you know that it's not you talking? Well, the indicator for me is all the times that I heard to do a certain thing that I know I wouldn't. And I'm going to give you this one quick story before you go, so that I can, you can understand what I mean. The day that I decided to file divorce, my ex and I were separated. We had been separated for about a year. So the the day I decided that I would file for divorce, I wasn't mad, I wasn't angry. We were actually kind of a little bit talking about getting back together. And so literally I had been looking for flights for it because he moved back to Ohio. I literally was looking for flights. And so one day I'm just sitting on the couch, no TV was on, the kids were all upstairs. I was just literally sitting there with my own self, with my own thoughts. Nothing was on. It was like so quiet. And I heard God say, that's enough. We're going to cut it right here. You've had enough. And I know that wasn't me, because I was talking about moving them back here. But what God knew, God heard conversations that I could not. God knew what was going on in another state when I did not. And so that was divine protection. And I'll say that since I've been divorced, he's been to jail 3 times for domestic violence. And his current girlfriend has been to jail once for domestic violence. I dodged a bullet because God was protecting me. So sometimes, even when we don't want to do the thing, God, well, sometimes when we want to, I should say, God will revert us the other way to protect us. And that's how you know it's God talking. And not saying, sometimes it's confirming what we already know. Just get quiet, get a quiet space, sit with your thoughts, sit with God, and you'll hear him. All right. And you guys, I've been on here for an hour, so I'm gonna head out too. I appreciate you guys for joining. Make sure you like and subscribe, so that you'll know when I'm on next time. I think I might jump on tomorrow too. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Talk to you later. Good night.